Seth.
I don't think we can hear him.
Seth. Here.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us? See us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Nice. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for calling in. I'm glad to see and hear from you.
Absolutely. It's good to be on the show.
Yes, this is like the, you know that documentary Going Clear about Scientology?
Yeah.
So our show turned into the Going Clear Vlog Squad. Can you turn them up a bit, Dan?
I'm trying.
Okay. Seth, is it possible to turn your mic up a little bit?
I'm not sure exactly how to do that.
Are you just on a laptop?
Yeah, I'm on laptop.
Can you pull it just a little closer to you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Seth, Seth used to be on, I don't know if you did a lot of videos with David, and you reached out to me via Big Nick, because after Big Nick came on, I know you have a lot of history with the Vlog Squad as well, and you wanted to share your story. So let me just ask you first, Seth, what was your experience like with the vlog? Or maybe I'll ask you first, why did you reach out wanting to share your story?
Because I just feel like my story also ties into a lot of other people's experiences as well. And, I've already addressed a lot of things online on my own platform. And, my goal is just to kind of get the message out as much as I can and, communicate with as much people as I possibly can to educate, an audience that, may be uneducated about certain things that are happening within the social media space.
I feel that. It's very quiet. Hold on. Dan, is there no way to boost him?
I'm literally maxed on everything. I have no more bedroom.
Oh, Love says it's fine.
It's fine on the stream.
Really? How could that be?
Well, that's okay if it's just us.
Is everyone on stream hearing this okay?
Zach?
Is anybody...
Yeah, it sounds fine on stream.
Okay.
See how loud he was comparatively? I have
Yeah.
cranked.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay. So, okay, cool. They say it's fine on stream. I don't know how that's possible, but there it is.
Yeah.
So I know there's a few situations that I want to ask you specifically about.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you want to first tell me about your experience on the Vlog Squad generally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my experience,
That's
the
much
first...
That's better.
The first thing, like I really want people to understand is, like, I feel like the videos that I put out got very misinterpreted by a lot of people. People kind of see me as, like, attacking David or attacking Jason or attacking, individuals in the Vlog Squad. But what it really was about was me taking credit for the actions that I was also participating in within those videos. So I wanted to come out and say something to clear my own conscience from the things that I was doing and I was allowing to happen within David's content. But then it also brings up another conversation. This is also David's content, and he's the one that's coming up with the ideas, and he's the one that has the power and is asking people to participate in certain things. And there is a lot of pressure, when you're in the room and you're the only person of your skin color or your culture, and you're trying to represent in the right way, and you're constantly being pressured to do things that you might know are wrong and you are uncomfortable with. But, when I first got into the group, I was like 22 years old. I just moved to LA. I was just looking for a cool group of friends that I could kind of work with and collaborate with, that I can also be friends and also, have some sort of other interesting activities going on with. And, that group, they were cool people when I met, and I liked what they were doing. And, I just started integrating myself. And then as I started integrating myself, I started being asked over and over again to kind of participate in bits that, can kind of come off being very culturally insensitive. And, I wanted to, apologize mainly to my own community, but also my family and my friends that are the same ethnicity that know,
You're talking specifically about like racial stereotype jokes. For example, I remember there was a scene where you were at the friend's house and then they open a fridge and a bunch of watermelons fall out or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
and a lot of kids don't understand, because these things, they seem like, watermelon is just, it's watermelon. Like, a lot of people like watermelon. I also particularly enjoy eating watermelon, but there is racially charged ideals that are behind, you know, trying to spin in a comedic way. Of
Yeah,
a black
it's obvious they're making a racial joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like a lot of kids that are like 13, 14 years old that might be watching that might not really understand. And then they think like, oh, okay, well, when I'm David Dobrik, he, you know, does blackface and watermelon tropes and all these other things. Oh, I can do that with my black friend. And then I'm making some black kid in Cincinnati uncomfortable with his group of Caucasian friends because of the videos that I'm participating in.
Do you feel like he was pressuring you to kind of make these black jokes when you were around him? Was that because Nick, for example, said, I was always under the pressure to be making like little person jokes. And the minute I said I wasn't comfortable with that anymore, then I was kind of, he didn't need me anymore. Did you feel that same kind of pressure?
Yeah, that is the pressure. It's not like, you know, David's sitting there and honestly in this podcast, I want to be completely transparent and honest with everything that has happened in all these situations. You know, it's not like David is sitting there like, oh, you have to do this. You don't do this, you're out the group, you know?
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of like an unwritten thing where you see a pattern of people saying like, yo, I'm uncomfortable with this. Hey, bro, like this isn't really cool. That all of a sudden they just disappear and then they're not videos anymore.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's a lot. It's weird. It's almost there's a pattern where it's like he exploiting people's vulnerabilities to make a joke out of it, and then you know once they start feeling uncomfortable with it because you know it is naturally exploitative. Like once they feel uncomfortable with it, then he just discards them. Just I don't know. Doesn't sit right with me.
And I can see like the pressure being so difficult because you're young, you want to make it, and they seem like the coolest kids in town, you know. It's it's happening and it looks fun and they're popular, so you want to be a part of it.
Of course, yeah.
Like
it's exciting.
Sorry for cutting you off, but like people don't understand how this all started, you know. It's not like we were this huge social media group, you know, from the jump and everyone knew that these videos were going to blow up and get millions of views. We were literally just, at the beginning, you had to just be someone that was just around, hanging around, you know, as a friend to kind of be involved in this circle. And then it just ends up taking off. And then all this notoriety is gained. And then, you know, there's repercussions and also, you know, collateral damage that happens. And, you know, when that happens, you know, you kind of have to go to the source of the problem and address it.
What do you say to people who say, oh, it's a sitcom, it's all just goofs and stuff, you know?
Well, the thing is, it's like something like Blackface, right? Like Blackface was created in a comedic sense. That was the point of them trying to mock black people, make fun of black people.
Wait, hold on one sec. Sorry, the audio just went crazy.
That's being bizarre.
Okay. The audio is great now, but you were like blasting out of the speaker. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
I wasn't yelling.
It's on our end.
But yeah, it's like stuff like Blackface, you know, it was created, you know, in for comedy to mock black people in a comedic sense. So it's supposed to be used in these sitcoms, comedy shows, and things of that sort to kind of, you know, undermine African-American people and to mock them, you know, and for a lot of black people that see Blackface, it is like traumatizing because, you know, our grandparents, you know, this is something that isn't very long ago, you know, had to go through it. And they describe, you know, if you come from an African-American household, they describe how, traumatizing seeing those images could be. And then I'm in the videos participating in these things.
Yeah.
Part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And is there, like, do you have this bitterness kind of towards those guys with time passed? Like, when you think about not only, like, what they put you through and how they kind of exploited you and kind of turned you into the butt of a lot of racist jokes, but more about, like, you were in these videos with, like, millions and millions of views. Like, the prank videos he did have so many views, and then, like, you see David is building so much and gaining so much from these videos, and like I don't know what your situation is, but I don't know how much you feel like you gained from those videos.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the first thing I said, like, you know, like it's not like the whole entire experience with being in this group is just like a nightmare every single day. You know, some days, you know, you come in and things are cool and it's just something simple like, hey, I'm going to, you know, have you guys, you know, do something fun for a video and then we're going to film it. And then other days it does get a little bit darker. And, you know, to answer your question about like being bitter, you know, like I personally, you know, have like healed myself from the situation and have, you know, kind of came to terms with everything that has happened. I'm always happy for other people's success. I think David, you know, is genuinely at his core, you know, a good person. And that's kind of why, you know, his videos have gotten so big. But just because you're a good person doesn't mean you don't ever do anything wrong. And that's kind of the point that everyone's kind of bringing up. Like there is collateral damage from the situation. And this guy isn't, you know, the worst guy to ever exist. You know, honestly, let's see. My situation very light compared to some of the racism that, you know, these different actors had to go through just to get on camera, you know? So, yeah, to just completely answer the question, like, no, I'm not bitter about anything. I'm happy that, you know, they're successful at a point in time as a friend because we're dealing with each other on a personal level. It does get pretty frustrating, you know, and sometimes it's hard to hide the frustration when you're behind the scenes trying to communicate with someone and say, hey, we need to sit down and have a conversation. Hey, can we talk? Hey, can we do this? And then you look on the internet and then there's like a video with some other African-American person being utilized to basically validate that, oh, we never did anything wrong. See, we support African-American culture because we have another African-American person on, you know, our videos as well, you know? And you notice like after, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement kind of dies out, you know, it's like people stop posting, people stop collaborating with African-American influencers, people don't build any actual institutions or actually build up other African-American creators to put them in positions where they can actually be in power and make choices for themselves. You know, I feel like African-American people, you know, like we get this stereotype of like looking for handouts and we're not looking for handouts. We're looking to be in actual positions of power so we can make our own decisions. You know?
Are you saying that David got some kind of like token black person after you left? I didn't follow, so I wasn't sure exactly what you were talking about.
I was talking about like the, you know, like with during the Black Lives Matter movement, how Jason gets like, I forgot the other dude's name, but like King Batch and this other dude who's a YouTuber, you know, in this YouTube video, and it's like, oh, it's time to make a change, you know, my two black friends, and you know, I could even see some of the uncomfortability on King Batch's face when they start talking about.
And you're like, well, where were they when they actually had the opportunity to not stereotype me and just use me for my blackness?
Yeah, and where's the conversation even behind the scenes?
Right.
Man, you know, like we know we kind of did this. We know this is wrong. You know, like we just, you know, want to apologize for, you know, putting you in this position, X, Y, and Z.
So that never happened? There was never a conversation like that afterwards?
No. Never a text, call, email, an assistant reaching out, like nothing. You know? So it kind of showed me like, you know, because originally, you know, like I say in the first video that I made, the accountability video, that I'm not calling anyone, you know, these are people I'm considering my friends, you know, so like I'm not going on here like saying like, oh yeah, these guys are just racist. I have like all these like racist friends. I'm just saying that, you know, these people may not understand certain aspects about other cultures.
Well, that's really interesting because Trisha said the same exact thing. Like when it went sideways, when she checked into the mental hospital, then all of a sudden it was like nobody talked to her anymore. Yeah. So how did you leave the group? How did you come to leave the group? And then when did you like stop hearing from David?
Well, it kind of started, and this was for multiple reasons. Some of them being personal, but also a large chunk of it being related to, you know, being in the vlog squad and being in David's content. But I decided to kind of move out the state and move to Atlanta because when I was in LA, after kind of dealing with that video with Jason, like the makeout video, you know, it's like now millions of billions of people kind of are misconstruing like my own sexuality and how I feel about participating in something that, you know, he didn't have my consent for. So I end up moving to a different state to kind of get away from it. So it's not like people coming up to me left and right, bringing up a situation that is legitimately traumatizing to me.
Wow.
So wow, it was that hurtful to you, that whole thing, that you moved out of LA?
Yeah.
Out of California.
He moved to Atlanta. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize
That's
that.
wild.
So okay, that's a good segue because I wanted to ask you about the kissing videos. So, first of all, like that kissing video, the first one,
Yeah.
that always struck me as so mean-spirited and messed up. So,
Yeah.
tell me about, first of all, that experience for you, how it played out and how you felt, and the reaction and everything. And what was it? What was the video?
Yeah, so it was a video where David set up with Jason Nash and Corinna, and said that I was supposed to do a makeout scene with Corinna, and had Jason was going to have Corinna in an old man mask while I was making out with her, and then switched her out with Jason Nash.
Right.
So my experience and my perspective from the situation, I was literally like just getting off a flight, just got into town. I was like super exhausted from traveling. I go over to David's apartment. Well, he calls me to come over. He's like, yo, can you come over? Like, I need you for a bit. And this is kind of like when I was, just starting to kind of hang out with them. So I'm just like, okay, David's like asking for something. It seems pretty serious. He must really need me there. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to, instead of just going home, getting some rest, I'm going to stop by his apartment, and then I'm going to go home. And then I get into the room. David, he's a very convincing person. He was very calm, and everything seemed normal. And he was just like, yeah, like we just have this scene, like I want you to like make out with Corinna. And, like, are you cool with that? And I was just like, yeah, no, I'm fine with making out with Corinna. Like, that's fine. I don't understand exactly what this bit's for, but I'm just trying to basically just get it over with so I can, go home and get some rest. And then, during the video, we kind of start the makeout. Starts going, and then it's going on for a decent period of time. And then after, Jason pulls off his mask, and I realized that, I just was touched by someone that, I did not, consent to having their tongue. And I'm sorry, it is a little bit hard to kind of like talk about this because like this situation, I know a lot of people, because also I'm a man coming out about something that's like a sexual battery, sexual assault type of situation. So it's kind of hard to believe, a person that is speaking about something like this. But basically, after he took off the mask, I was, it was a split decision. I was like, it's one or two things, like either be natural instincts and be the angry black guy in the room and start yelling at everyone and get physical or whatever that might entail, or I can kind of just, go along with it, and, maybe I'll have some new friends that, will support me in my ventures moving forward. And I made the decision to just kind of go along with it. Not understanding what the repercussions would be, and also not understanding, how much, 10 million people are that's seeing something that I'm personally not comfortable with. And I say that not to say I'm not comfortable with like homosexuality. It's just, even if I was homosexual and then they switched out the costume for a girl, that would
You were
still
misled.
be wrong.
Yeah, totally.
It's just not what you consented
It's totally sexual battery. I agree with it. And by the way, the fact that you played along with it, I just want to tell you that in no way invalidates your feelings. You know what I mean? They put you into the spot. They surprised you. They did something really uncalled for. Uncalled for, to put it lightly. I mean, if that happened to me, I would be just. You were sexually assaulted by Jason. I really do think so. Yeah. And so the fact that you played along with it does not invalidate your feelings at all.
And it's really hard, and I really want the viewers to understand, it is so incredibly tough as a man to have to say that you were sexually assaulted by a man. the amount of trauma that you deal with, you don't even want to explain it to like your family and your friends and your, because they're, even my own family was like looking at me like, oh yeah, you probably just said that was okay, you know, like there's no way someone
people don't believe you.
That's what's so frustrating about the way victims are treated. And sometimes it's even their own family members are not going to believe them. It's really difficult,
especially men. I feel like you know what, I shouldn't say that, but like it's hard for men to get when this happens. It is, people tend to be even more distrustful of men. I know women get a lot of distrust these days when they come out, but like
it happens. It does. It happens completely on both sides. Like I don't want to take.
I don't want to take away, but I know what you mean.
You know, it's just, you know, the reality of the situation is, you know, it does like affect your confidence as a man. You know, you start kind of questioning yourself, and, you know, with trauma, you know, people are wondering like, oh, well, why are you kind of coming out, you know, 2-3 years later, like communicating about
that's normal. That's so normal, dude. It takes time to process.
Yeah, I shut down for 2 years, and like people would bring it up to me in public, and then I would just, you know, basically ignore it. Like, oh, well, you know, at least, you know, like I have, you know, friends that, you know, are doing cool stuff, you know, like that's probably why they're just trying to bring this up to try to like bring me down. But in reality, the situation was so traumatizing that I was just trying to act like it just didn't even exist.
Yeah. And that's very common, you know. And by the way, the fact that it was viewed by 10 million people compounds, you know, I'm sure that makes it a lot more difficult when the whole world saw it too, you know.
Yeah, and it's like now it's not internal trauma. Now it's like the only way to kind of combat this trauma is to be public about it and to talk about it openly to everyone so that they understand, like, please, if you see me in public, please, if you're in my DMs, like, do not bring this up. Do not talk to me about it, because I'm trying to get peace with myself about being involved in something like that. And sometimes you almost victim blame yourself. You're like, well, I shouldn't have been there, or, you know, well, I chose to have them as friends. But, you know, at what point is it where it's like, well, David Dobrik should not have chose to force a 50-year-old man to put his tongue into another man's mouth without their consent, man or woman.
Honestly, dude, if I was just at a friend's house and there weren't videos involved and they pranked me like that, I'd probably, I don't know if I'd be friends with them anymore.
That's the thing, that when there are cameras involved, you also don't want to look bad, and you want to play along.
I'm not saying that to dismiss you. I'm saying that because it's like even just on a friend level, that prank is so fucked up to do. But does it bother you? Do you ask yourself, like, why did he do it to me? He specifically called you. You were not you. He said, "Come over." They specifically thought of you for this prank.
Yeah, I have no idea why, and I definitely have thought, you know, many different reasons of what it could have been. But, you know, at this point, you know, with how much I see David and Jason kind of dodging things, you know, like, I don't know if Jason was secretly sexually attracted to me and wanted an excuse to, you know, have a sexual act with me without me knowing, because if they knew that I would say yes to that, why would they have not asked? They knew I would, like, no, don't do this. And then it would never happen.
Oh, that's a gross thought.
Yeah. And any sort of like evidence, you know, it's like they should be able to prove that they had my consent. There should be a video, there should be a contract, there should be some sort of paperwork. And the only thing that David has is in the second video, which I feel like is racially charged, because he has me making out with a group of gorillas in a room, which is also something that is race driven.
So wait, I want to talk. Actually, let me set up the second video, because I want to ask you about that. By the way, I just before I do, I did notice when you guys were, Jason got so into it. It was like disgust. Like, how does Jason do that? Which is probably, it was just so messed up, like, how he like went in on it.
Probably made it feel even more abusive.
Yeah,
how it's like.
Yeah, and then it's like I'm hearing other things, like, you know, about Jason, you know, through certain credible sources, that, you know, he's sleeping with, you know, 17-year-old girls at VidCon, and, you know, other people that, you know, have different experiences with him where they feel like Jason has been very creepy and touchy with them.
Yeah, that's what Trisha says about him.
And then it makes me feel like, okay, maybe this is like, I don't know if you're, you know, like sexually turned on by watching this video. And then if you go right now, I called David about, I think it was sometime in February or March. And, you know, I politely asked him, you know, I was like, I understand, like, everyone makes mistakes, and, you know, I don't feel like you hate me, and, you know, all this other stuff. But, you know, I need you to take these videos down because they legitimately have caused me so much trauma. I just want to try to get away from it. And then he, you know, offers to pay me money to keep the videos up. And then at that moment, I realized, like, he's not a friend. And then I look a month later, and then the videos are unlisted on his channel, so people could still watch it as long as they have the link, instead of just privating it and taking it down.
So the second one is still up, by the way.
Yeah, and the first one is still up.
Oh, that's another thing that...
Wait, it is still up? Or it's
I watched them yesterday. I didn't have any trouble finding them on his channel.
Huh. Yeah, it's on an unlisted link, so it's not going to pop up.
Oh, so it's like in a playlist or something?
Wait, I think the second one is public. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys in back, but I'm pretty sure... I could be wrong. They'll look into that, but... The fact, that's what Big Nick said, is that people, whenever David doesn't want something on video, he tries to buy them out. Like, instead of respecting their wishes, it's like, people say, I don't want this. I don't want this out there. And instead of respecting their wishes and understanding that it makes them uncomfortable, he turns it into a money thing. And money is power, right? That's influence. He's trying to influence them to do something they don't want to do. How much...
Especially when a friend is telling you that they're dealing with legitimate pain, and then your next motive is to be like, oh, well, how much money do you want?
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to keep it up. It's like, I don't want the money. I want respect.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even further than that. It's like
no one wants to be on a, like, I have other things that, you know, are going on in my life that are very important, very time sensitive, and I don't want to be in a situation where I have to deal with extra drama and I have to talk about other people and get involved in any sort of situation that, you know, might be perceived as negative, and especially with people that you used to really care about a lot. It hurts.
Wow.
Very deeply to have to get on this podcast and to have to address this, because if anything, you know, me and David, we should, when the fans were saying, like, why don't you guys have a conversation behind the scene? I'm like, exactly. Why don't we have a conversation behind the scenes, David? You know, because it's just something that I don't even understand why it's a thing that you know, he's running away from, because we know, like, in the bottom of our hearts, that, you know, this is bad for the fans. This is bad for the people that support us. This is bad for my brand. This is bad for his brand. This isn't good for anyone's brand to be involved in something like this. But once it gets to a certain point, you know, it's also about everyone's mental health. And that's why I'm on the podcast right now speaking with you guys, is because this is almost a form of therapy for me, to kind of cope with all the stuff that I went through. Now that it's public, you know, at least people kind of know how I feel about it. I can actually openly have conversations with my family about it and my friends about it. And I don't have to go through every single phone number in my contacts and be like, hey, I went through this experience and X, Y, Z, you know?
That's something that really disturbed me from everyone we heard so far. Like Nick, same thing. He felt like he had to come on here to explain himself. And it's weird to me. I mean, worse than weird, but it's just a bad character that David wouldn't say anything himself.
Also, there's clearly a pattern. There's people who are victims of his behavior. There's 3 now that we know of, you, Nick, and Trisha, who have all come to him, and he doesn't deal with it ever. He doesn't deal with it. He's got to know that there's an issue with the way he's doing it. But it's
and I'm sure there's more people in
right.
the same scenario where it's like, you know, like I like before getting on this podcast, you know, like I was very nervous about having to get up here and speak about this stuff, because this isn't fun. This isn't enjoyable to do. This is hard. This is painful to have to kind of get through, and it is very hurtful to have to go through this experience.
Yeah, I'm sad that you never got to talk to David about it, because it's funny. People blame you. They say, "Oh, he's just out for clout. He's just out here doing this to get attention." But it's like you said, you've tried to work it out with David, and he doesn't want to do it. So he's in a sense forcing you to discuss it in this manner, and you do deserve the respect and the recognition that victims of this kind of sexual assault get. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just not fair to you to dismiss you in all those ways.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you have like multiple relationships with someone, because it's like, not only in the videos.
Sorry, one sec, Seth. It's quiet again, Dan.
Yes.
As much as possible.
Weird.
Probably something with Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom. Go ahead, Seth.
Now?
I don't know what. Sorry to give it a moment. Are you sure? Because when you turn it up, it doesn't seem to affect the audio at all.
That's why I think it's Zoom.
Oh, you think Zoom is adjusting Dan? But Dan should have an external.
I do.
And I
like there as much as,
okay.
It sounds okay on the stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seth. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, no, what I was saying was, also, being a person that's not just, a character in the videos, like helping, just be a comedic support to everything. Like, I'm also behind the scenes, like legitimately setting up his video content that is too much for him to handle, like helping him, at Jason Nash's birthday party, getting him over 100 extras in 4 hours, booking 2 shuttles, getting music equipment, and also having to organize all this stuff while I'm in Atlanta. And I'm still dealing with even if you don't respect me on a friend level, like in a business sense, like I'm someone who's an asset, who's here to help, who's here to support. And in both fashions, I feel like it's just completely, it's disrespectful to what I do for you and also who I am as a person.
Mm. Interesting. I didn't realize you were so deeply involved with the logistics of everything going on there too.
Yeah.
Was he paying you at any point for that work?
Yeah. So at the beginning, it started off like I wasn't charging anyone for, helping people set up their videos, doing casting for anyone's projects. But over time, I started getting asked by so many people. And then, Alex needs help, Big Nick needs help, other influencers that, are outside of the vlog squad are asking me to help them set up their videos. And I'm doing it left and right. And my time is so booked that I'm like, yo, David, like, I need you to pay me to do this. I can't just, I can't even just do this for like a YouTube plug or a shout out or anything like that. Like, I actually need capital to keep this going. And then, of course, he did compensate me, but the amount of compensation that it is compared to what other casting agencies charge for videos that are created in, such a short span of time would really cost thousands of dollars. And I'm only charging him, a few hundred bucks because I want to see his business grow and I want to see this whole entire group grow. And I'm like, well, if I'm collaborating with you guys, everything that I have that's an asset is going to be openly available to all of you. And if you can't afford it, you can't pay for it. Well, then, yeah, maybe we could work out some promo. You can't do the promo or pay for it. Okay, well, then just do me a favor in the future. And that's literally how it's operating. And, a lot of times, it's like having to, hassle someone about, $400 or $500, when they have millions of dollars. It's just, at some point you're just like, okay, this isn't worth it, even if you are a star.
Well, so let me move on to the second video, because you had this first video where they quote unquote prank you, where Jason pretends to be Corinna and makes out with you. And so a lot of people point to the second video as, they say, well, this is proof that he was in on it and it's not that big of a deal, because they did a second video where they pretended to cast you in a beef jerky commercial, and then Jason comes out as a gorilla and makes out with you, basically in the same style they did the first one. And so, and he says to you, I remember specifically, he says, do I have your consent to try to get Jason to make out with you again? And so tell me about how that video kind of played out and how you feel about that second video.
Well, David was sitting there and we were sitting almost for like 20 minutes, and he was talking to me about, he was like, yo, I want to do that prank again. I kept saying like, no, I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't want to deal with, you know, the repercussions of having all these people know, like that other video people are just starting to forget. I just want to keep it moving and not, you know, be involved in any sort of content like that anymore. And then David kind of keeps like, come on, man, like, you know, like what if, you know, how can I get you to you know, want to, oh, sorry about that. Want to, you know, get your consent for this. And what people don't understand, in that moment, I never gave him my consent. I said,
yeah, I did notice that.
Expecting to do something to me that I don't know that you're going to do.
That's all he included from you saying no?
Yeah, and you said what?
Because you're in your recounting of the story, you're saying you said, no, I don't want to do it. But then all he included was that clip of you saying,
how do you expect to do something to me that I don't know how you're going to do? And then after the cameras are off, because our reality isn't just 4 minutes and 20 seconds, I was telling him on the couch at the apartment, David, please don't do that again.
Oh, my God.
And then he just does it again, and he sets it up this time as this commercial where collab is involved. I guess Jack Link's beef jerky was involved in it, and then also David, Jason, and this time not Corinna.
Wait, was the beef jerky actually involved?
I don't know. I have no idea if that was like if that video, and that's something.
Wouldn't that be insane if they actually paid him to do that video?
To use their brand like that, I feel like
I have to assume it's not, but
not what?
They're not involved, but at the same time,
I don't know.
Their name is still part of it. So.
Well, wouldn't that be crazy if they paid him to make that video? I mean, what the? How would that make you feel?
Yeah, exactly. That, I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, I feel the same way that I feel now. You know, it's just shocking. You know, especially like when I seen like the MCN, you know, collab, like participating and giving resources to do something like this. Like they like at no point in time, like, you know, even with the first video, it's like Jason is the adult in the room. Like someone needs to be the person who can speak up and be the adult and say like, yo, this isn't cool.
They all try. The thing is, everybody's blinded by his success and his motivation and his energy. They all
That's
trust
why
him.
it's like at a certain point, I mean, there's no one to blame but David, because this is his operation. And if he doesn't want to be the adult in the room, then he needs to hire an adult. He needs to have someone be the adult in the room. But if there isn't one, it's all his decision. So it all comes down to being his fault.
I am honestly disgusted by what you told me about how he only included that one clip. Because even myself, I'll have to admit, I hate to admit that when I watched that second one, I was doubtful. I thought maybe Seth is in on this one because he says from the beginning that he he didn't say, it was like the way that he cut it made it seem like you were in on it.
Yeah, it's like real fast. And,
that's crazy. That's so dirty.
Yeah, you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking like you just want to watch the video. You're not like, oh, well, is this actually something that, you know, could be criminal?
I did notice that you never consented, though.
Yeah, we did notice.
I said when I watched it, notice he didn't say yes.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. This leads me to kind of my next thought is that, did he know how badly the first video bothered you? Because why would he go to do it again?
Even just on a personal level as a friend.
Yeah, so when I explained to him while he was trying to get my consent with the second video, you know, obviously it's like how people don't see it. It's like he's like the boss, you know, he's the authority figure. He's the person that's in charge. And it's like, you're going to kind of talk to your boss a little differently than you're going to talk to someone who's just your friend, you know? So I was just trying to communicate with him, like, you know, like, I really didn't like that. Like, please don't do it again. Like, I'm not, you know, interested in being involved in any sort of content like that. I feel like it's wrong, X, Y, and Z. And, you know, like, I couldn't really approach the situation like, hey, bro, if you do that again, like, I'm fucking out, you know, like, or
But
whatever.
you had expressed, like, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And so I find it really interesting because, like, the fact that he sought out to do it again to you, it has to be in some sense that he knew that you didn't like it, and that made it more entertaining to him. That he thought that it was better to try to get you again because you were so unhappy about the first time.
Yeah, and you see that pattern, you know,
Yeah.
someone's like, oh, I'm afraid of snakes, and then he comes in with a snake. Oh, I don't like firecrackers. Oh, we're about to put you in a room with a bunch of firecrackers. You know, it's like all these different things that, you know, might be...
Hey, I
you know,
don't like sexual assault.
Yeah.
Let's
You know,
assault you again.
I don't like being sexually assaulted. And,
Yeah, I mean, ironically, it's proof that he knew you didn't like it, right? It's
Yeah.
proof that he knew that that you were not down. And so
Yeah.
the second time around, so basically you guys had this, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had this brief conversation about it. And then how long passed before this commercial took place?
It was about like 2 months.
So you completely forgot about it. You didn't even, you had no suspicion.
No suspicion at all. Like the emails were official. Like
Wow.
we made a website and everything. So it was just like 100%. And I'm sitting there, you know, like driving from like my grandma's house in Compton to be involved in all these videos, kind of, you know, looking for something that could kind of be a break to kind of get me to the next level. And I'm like, oh shit, I just booked a commercial, like hanging out with David and all this other stuff. This is awesome. Like, I'm super excited about it. I'm calling my family, like, hey, you know, like I'm about to be in a commercial. Like,
That's
this is
painful.
good. And then, we call like my family, be like, no, I just basically got sexually assaulted again.
Oh my
And,
God.
you know,
I'm laughing because it's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up.
yeah, and I same thing, you know, like I understand, like, you know, like it you know, I understand what people think is comedic about it. Like, I get it. You
No,
know,
I'm not. I don't think it's comedic. I'm
No.
laughing at how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
I genuinely
Yeah,
just.
exactly.
It's like you thought you were getting a big break and you ended up getting sexually assaulted. Like, it's just.
The problem
absurd.
also is that, like, as a stunt, it was really impressive what they pulled off.
Right.
And I feel like that's part of the problem. It kind of like blurs the bad side that comes
Right.
with it. But like the bottom line of the joke is so wrong.
Right.
You
The
know,
video
the
is so
production
impressive.
and everything is
Yeah.
really impressive. But what is the bottom line?
Right.
What is it all for?
That's a great point.
Huge expense, you know.
So tell me, so you were there shooting the commercial. You thought you had this big break. Did you know that it was going to be monkeys coming out to make out with you? Because you mentioned that you thought that was racially charged.
No, I didn't know that there's like they said something about like, oh yeah, there's gonna be like these sexy gorillas and they're gonna be touching on you. And even then, I was just like, Jack Link's is kind of like, what's up with them, you know? But then I'm already like in there and you know, already kind of spent, you know, a week before preparing and going through like this you know, script and all this stuff. And so I'm just like, all right, well, you know, like I'm here, like I'm just gonna do what I have to do. But even that, like, even if it wasn't like a sexual assault and if it was just like a video, I would still be like, yeah, it seems kind of racially driven for sure.
You probably trust the brand, though. It's a big brand. These people are more aware, more sensitive.
Exactly. And I was just like, oh, I trust the brand. They might cut in something else.
Yeah.
With, you know, a Caucasian kid doing something, and then it makes it make more sense or whatever, you know. But when I found out that was a video that was just for David's content, you know, it definitely made me feel like that was very racially charged, and you know, it is what it is. Like, it's not a joke. It's sexual assault.
And so Jason came out as one of the gorillas and then started making out with you again.
Yeah.
What was the direction like? Were people, was there like a director saying like, make out with him?
Yeah, you can hear it in the
There's a
video.
director, there was a gaffer, there was a DP, there was a whole crew, you know, and I said that in the video. I was like, you set up a whole crew to fuck up my life, you know, and you did.
And so what was your feeling when Jason took off the monkey head, the gorilla head, and you realized you had been making out with Jason again?
At that point, I was just so ridiculously shocked. Like, I was literally in shock. I was just like, how the fuck did this just happen? After I told this man.
Not only did he sexually assault you, he ruined what you thought was a really great moment, what you thought was a great thing happening in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, then again, you know, I just, you know, went along with everything that was happening. And honestly, the second time it was easier to kind of cope with it because I already went through it the first time, you know? So I was just kind of like, well, you know, it is what it is. Like, I'm a part of this group, and, you know, I guess this is how, you know, things are going down. And at that point, I just completely shut off and, you know, try to act like it didn't exist. And when I talk to my family about it, and you know, people don't understand, like, when you deal with a situation that's like sexual assault, you know, you can shut down for years and not communicate with your family, your friends, and even yourself about it. And then you get into a headspace and you start becoming a person and building a character that's not really you. And then I started being around David and everyone in the group, and I was just like, well, I really don't feel like we're friends, because I don't even feel like I'm myself when I'm with them. I feel like I created this like character to fit into this group because I know that it's safe.
I know exactly what you mean, dude.
Right.
I know exactly what you mean. So is that what ultimately led to your leaving the group and moving LA? Was that you were just kind of this whole dynamic?
Yeah, it was shortly after the second time, and then also, you know, I was, you know, we don't make money off of these videos, you know, like we're not getting ad revenue, we're not getting paid directly from David. Like every once in a while, you know, he might be like, oh, I have this skit, you know, I'm going to pay you like $200-300 to eat a cockroach or something like that. You know, like you get opportunities like that, but we basically have to fend for ourselves. And I was just kind of in a position where, you know, I was like, you know, I wanted to get away and kind of start a new life and get a new, you know, kind of reset my brand. And then when I go to Atlanta, you know, it's a predominantly African-American city. And, you know, they're looking at all the videos that I have with David, like, whoa, this guy isn't like for Black culture. Like he's over Blackface, he's over here doing all these, like, you know, he's basically playing a coon in all these videos. And, you know, it made it harder for me to get support out there. But, you know, I fought through it, and I made sure to connect with like the right people, and kind of built, you know, a small base out in Atlanta, to try to really escape, you know, this content in these videos. And even now, it's like I don't even live in LA. I live in Arizona, as I know, you know, there's people out there that know about, you know, David's content, obviously, but it's not as hectic as LA, where, you know, I'm going to these parties with these people that have, you know, millions of followers that, you know, might want to bring it up in an Instagram story and start recording me and talking about it. You know?
Does it bother you to see like David, like he's just like bought a $10 million house, and then you're saying like you didn't really get compensated at all?
Paid for the prank video?
You didn't get paid at all for those prank videos, right?
No.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is so insane.
Yeah, because,
That's so insane.
by the way, people like to compare it to a sitcom, and sitcoms, people get fucking paid.
Well, and all this reminds me of like Jackass a lot, right? Where it's like it's a group of people, and it's like semi-real, and they're all like pranking each other all the time or whatever. But all those dudes got paid.
Right.
Like they were all part of the cast.
Yeah, it's like, how is it like a sitcom when David's the only one getting paid and accolades? And, you know, it's like another thing is like everybody gets shit on except David, it seems like, too. It's easy for him. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, just bad vibes.
Yeah, and so I want to clear on the second video, because he did set it up like as a commercial, and I explained to him like, bro, like this is literally like I spent like a week like doing all of this, you know, setting all this up. Like he did compensate my time for that video. But
only after you asked him, like, dude, you got to pay.
Only after I told him, like, seriously, like, bro, like, I don't know if I could pay my rent this month, because I was relying on one situation to basically help me move into a new place, which is literally what
my God.
Was. And he's arguing with me about giving me the money. And he was
so
like,
wait, were you offered money by the advertising, the fake advertising? Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. I was offered money.
That is, it's just like it keeps getting worse and worse.
How much money did they offer to pay you?
It was $2,500.
So they offered you $2,500, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not even paying you."
Yeah, and then I was like, "Bro, you have this isn't even just
my jaw is dropping."
And by the way, that's not even that much.
Oh, he can definitely afford $2,500. He's very wealthy. He makes a lot. That video had 10 million views.
Right.
Yeah, which I'm sure he made, and if he partnered with Jack Links, you know, he probably made like 50 to 100 grand off of that video.
My jaw is on the floor.
You got to think about the amount of cost that it takes to even make something like that. I mean, that probably cost him $1,000 just to set up with the cameras and the crew and getting everything.
Let me ask you this: how much did he end up paying you? Was it the full $2,500?
Yeah, for the second video. The first video, I was not compensated anything, and then all the other vlogs, I wasn't compensated.
I am absolutely flabbergasted that he tried to stiff you out of that money. That's just... And you know what? It's humiliating to have to go to your
house after that, and I literally had to grab him, and I was like, bro, like, I can't walk. If I walk out of here and you don't send me that money, I will literally not be able to have a home. So I have to have you, compensate me for this.
That is so shocking.
I was okay with it. It was because I was in a devastated position where, I was in between places to live. Mm-hmm. And so I had to say, bro, I need something.
Do you think he targeted you because he saw you as kind of an easy mark, as someone who was vulnerable? And because, like you said, you were a little bit down and out just based on what you're saying now. And he saw you as somebody that he could fuck with who wouldn't really push back because they were in this desperate situation.
Yeah, I think it's that. And then also I am coming to really believe that it is also my race as well. Because I also see how, David, treated other people that were my friends that were black, Did
he try not to pay you at first when you asked him?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He literally
said, yo, you need to pay me. What did he say?
It's hard with Zoom sometimes, so...
Oh, yeah. So he was literally walking out of the house, like, after we were done or whatever. We just, like, we're like, we kind of just... Me and the other members talked or whatever, and then he was like, okay, I'm about to get out of here. So he was walking out, and I was just like, I grabbed him by the arm, and I was like, David, you have to compensate me for what you said you were going to compensate me for this commercial, because I literally...
And he said no?
Right now. And he was just like, oh, come on, man. I'll tag you in the video. And I was I was like, I need, tagging me in the video isn't going to help me eat tonight, bro.
Oh my God.
I am blown away.
I just discovered something, because I found the video is still on YouTube, but it's unlisted. Mm-hmm. And I was curious about the Jack Links thing. I'm like, does this say brought to you by Jack's Link in the description? It doesn't, but it's does have tags of other people in this video, and Seth is like the 20th person down in the list on the even though you are literally the subject of the video.
I accepted some money. He didn't tag me like that in the video.
Oh my God. What a douche.
Oh my God.
My jaw is on the fucking floor. I mean, it's not funny.
It's not.
It's humiliating.
It's not.
And by the way,
just laughing because of how absurd it is.
We're shocked.
Yeah.
And by the way, to have to go and beg for money from the person who just sexually assaulted you, it's got to feel so humiliating, too, on top of it.
100%. It's very humiliating, and it's even more humiliating to be on a podcast having to say that all this happened to me, Like, when people were in my comments saying all these different things about why I'm doing this. I'm like, if anything, this is hurting me more than it's hurting me, but it's like, I have to get through this mentally. And I know eventually people will know what the truth is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not afraid to say everything that was true. I could have lied and said, oh, David didn't compensate me anything or whatever, try to make him look like a worse person than he is. But
honestly, you don't need to. You're telling us the truth, and it really is even worse than we would have thought. You don't even need to try to lie. It's so bad on so many levels, and you shouldn't be feeling ashamed, even though it sounds like you are feeling shame and guilt and all this stuff. You really shouldn't, but it's just fucked up, really.
There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about. So, on Jason and David's podcast, he accused you of stealing $50,000 from him to build an infinity pool. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I seen that video. Yeah. So, one, that video is obviously taken down because it's not the true story of what actually happened. Basically, the actual story is it's like if I recommended you to go to a certain pizza place, and then you go to the pizza place and they say that they're going to give you a pizza and then they don't. It doesn't mean that I took the money or I stole the money from you. It just means I gave you a bad recommendation that I did my research on to try to make sure that everything was done correctly. And I have receipts of the amount of money that was spent. And one, it wasn't over $50,000. It was like $10,000 or something like that for him to build a pool. And basically the guy who I recommended to build the pool, he just ended up running off and like moving. It was just one of those things like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, this is so bad. You know, this guy just like ran off, and I felt really bad about it. And I talked to David about it, and I was like, you know, like I could reach out to some lawyers and, you know, try to see what we can do about this situation. But, you know, I'm recommending people. My job is to give recommendations all day. And I give people, you know, 50, you know, I might recommend 50 different individuals to another individual. So every once in a while, yes, we do have bad seeds or have things that go wrong, or we'll have disputes. And, you know, sometimes I'll book, you know, an extra for a video for, you know, another YouTuber, and then they might, you know, be there and then record something that they're not supposed to record or whatever, you know. Those things just kind of happen at times, especially when you're doing it at the scale that I'm doing it at, where you have, you know, 50, 60 different clients that all need a service. You know, so in that case, it was just one thing that kind of happened. I did not profit from any of that. I don't have $50,000. I never had $50,000 in my account. And I understand how people kind of misconstrued that. But what David was really saying is just like, yeah, I just gave him a poor recommendation for something, and, you know, and it's very unfortunate how it went, and I did everything that I could to try to correct it. And
do you think, what did you think when David put you on blast publicly? It feels like a little fucked up after everything you guys have been through, to then put you on blast and to suggest that you perhaps stole $50,000 from him.
Yeah, and I didn't know if that podcast was recent or if it just like resurfaced, but, you know, obviously it's like another, you know, stab in the heart. You know, it's just like, bro, you know how hard I work. You
By
know,
the way, I'm looking at the thumbnail. It says the title of this video, just to put it in context for you,
it's not.
Is Seth scams David for $50,000, and the thumbnail is you guys standing next to each other with a minus $50,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you could imagine how something like that. The reason why there's one of the videos that got up to like, you know, like hundreds of thousands of views, you know, and I had to, you know, make sure the video was taken down because people are Googling my name, looking up, you know, my business Certified Casting, and then they see a video of Seth stole $50,000. Like, that might influence them to be like, oh, well, I probably shouldn't use this service. So it's like, when I'm trying to get away from you and build my own thing, you're still coming at me, attacking me, trying to put me down. I'm just over.
You didn't have to say that publicly. It's like, why did you have to say that?
Especially if he's not even being completely truthful.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not talking about all the invoices and shit that you're late on paying on, and you're a multi-millionaire, and going in on you about how you're asking for discounts for shit just because you're David Dobrik. You know, like, I'm not always bringing up those things, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you have bad business practices too, you know, and you have things that you do that are wrong and flawed as well, you know. And I'm never the type of person to be like, I'm always right. Like, my company is not perfect. We're a startup. We're doing everything we can. We're breaking records with the amount of content that we're getting uploaded on the internet through helping produce and cast these things. And I'm very proud of it. But at the end of the day, I'm still a human being just trying to do the best that I can do, and we have hiccups, and I would prefer if the hiccups that we make aren't always public.
Well, also, he has such a large platform. It's like, what's the point of airing that dirty laundry?
Yeah.
Especially after everything you guys have been through. I don't know. Well, I'm really sorry for everything you've been through, man. I mean, it's really fucked up. It's most fucked up is that you're the victim of this 2 sexual assaults, and somehow you're painted as like the bad guy in all this amongst like his diehard fans. You know, it's so sick, dude. It's fucked up. I'm sorry for everything that happened to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all, you know, having me on here, and you know, I also want all the viewers to know too, like, you know, regardless of what happens to you in your life, regardless of all the negative situations, and you know, I know people have been through 10 times worse than even my case with the sexual assault or racism and all of that, but you have to just continue to build something for yourself and not stop. You know, no one can stop you but you. I could have took those videos and be like, oh, my life's over. I quit. I don't want to deal with this anymore, you know, and then go into my room and cry myself to sleep every night. But I kept getting up. I kept working. I kept grinding, and I kept doing what I have to do. And now I do have something that is an asset. I do have a brand. I do have friends, and I do have a lot of people who support me offline and online. And you have to take it upon yourself to get that strength, because things are going to happen in your life that you don't agree to all the time. It might not be sexual assault. It might be something, it might be a car accident that you get. You didn't agree to get into a car accident, but if you don't fix your own car, no one's going to fix it for you, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm doing now. And you know, I literally reached out to David like 3-4 days before the podcast to just try to see if he would answer so I could talk to him and not have to go public with all this stuff, you know, and he's choosing to not help fix something. You know, I feel like it's just like an infection, you know. If you have like a small infection on your leg and then you're like, oh, it's just a small infection, I'm not going to deal with it, and then it starts getting red and you're like, oh, I'm not going to deal with it, eventually it's going to be like, bro, you got to cut your whole leg off, you know, because now this infection is going up your whole entire body and everything's getting blown out of proportion, when you could just go to the source of what the problem is and treat the problem and then move forward. I'm sure you know. I'm sure Trisha. I'm sure Big Nick, and I'm sure and also myself. We don't want to have to be on here doing this, and I feel very bad for, you know, Trisha and also Jason's wife to have, you know, someone that, you know, is literally inside of them and was intimate with them to, you know, have these different stories coming out about sexual assault and, you know, being inside of minors and all this other stuff. And I think that, you know, it's really something that they kind of got to take the time to look at themselves to really think like you guys are hurting a lot of people around you that really actually care about you. I wasn't helping David out with all of his shit because he was David Dobrik. He was just a YouTube kid with a couple 100,000 subscribers. That was my friend that I was trying to see get to the point that he's at now. I wanted this to happen for him. I wanted him to be this successful. And it doesn't matter to me if I'm a part of that success or not, but I just want respect. I don't want to be negatively affected by your success.
Right.
Right.
And when you reached out to him a few days ago, did he just ignore you?
Yeah, just ignore me. I sent Jason a text. I texted David. I called Jason. I called David.
Nobody answered.
No one answered.
Damn. Well, I'm sorry that you had to come in here to talk about it, but I sure do appreciate you sharing your story. And I think, for whatever it's worth, that I think it helps people sharing your story, and I think you were very. I mean, you explained yourself really well. It was really a privilege to listen to you tell it. So thank you for coming here and sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you having me on the podcast. And yeah, like I said, this is really therapy for me. Like it's very appreciated to, you know, have such a big platform, because, you know, before I just felt like I'm screaming in a closed room about a situation that no one cares about, you know, but now I feel like, you know, with having, you know, people like yourself, Trisha, and others, you know, that are bringing this stuff to light, you know, regardless of what their intentions might be, we all can agree that sexual assault is wrong.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
100%.
We can all agree that racism and racist ideologies are wrong. So let's just push forward and make sure and not hold people in a state where they can't change. But we have to influence people to make the change by being on platforms and speaking about it. So I think what you guys are doing is an incredible public service, and it really is helping a lot of people, and it really has helped me a lot.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Take care, dude. God bless. Thanks for calling.
God bless you as well.
Wow. That was extremely compelling stuff. He was, I mean, Seth's amazing.
Yeah.
That he soldiered through all that.
I cannot imagine having to go through all that, you know? It's a lot.
it's a whole different thing hearing it from him, because like
Yeah.
you can tell how traumatic it was, and I can imagine too. You know, like after that first one going so viral, the second one went so viral too. Ah, fuck. And you know, I mean, AB, how does that make you feel hearing the account from him firsthand? Because yesterday you said he was full of shit.
Yeah, no, I feel horrible. I wish I could have told him, I feel sorry. And, I mean, yeah. I mean,
It just goes to, I feel like it goes to show. Well, you know, I'm ashamed to even say, like, I thought maybe the second one was fake too. But it just really goes to show that that's why you should believe people like him, because we don't know what happened. He says it wasn't consensual. We should believe him because we don't know what it was like. It's easy to just make assumptions like, oh, Jason was taller, or
And
how could he be tricked into doing this with the beef
I think
jerky?
it's just important to remember that he is in the position of disadvantage, coming in and saying that it
Against
wasn't,
David.
yeah, that it was against his will, that he
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, all this stuff. It's not easy for him. So
Right.
why would he do it? I mean, people just don't think about it.
It's easy to just say, oh, they're coming out for clout or attention or whatever. But like the amount of shit they're
that's not
getting.
the kind of clout you want.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of shit that they get is way outweighs any of the clout. It's like, do you really get clout for coming out? People don't go, oh, I'm a fan of this guy now. You know what I mean? That's negative attention. You don't want that attention. So for me, that was a really powerful. His story was very. I'm kind of floored
I feel
by
like
a lot of what he said.
also what was really painful to hear is just, it's from his perspective, also being a black person going
Right.
through all that is just another aspect we're not even, obviously we wouldn't even know, but it sounds really difficult.